most adults over 60 believe they'd know if they were dehydrated. They wait for the obvious signs: feeling parched, a dry mouth, maybe a headache. But here's the mistake almost everyone makes: by the time you feel thirsty, your body has often already been low on fluids for hours. And after 60, that thirst signal doesn't work the way it used to. Researchers at UCLA Health note that up to 40% of adults older than 65 experience chronic dehydration. A number most people find surprising, because the warning signs rarely look the way we expect. The real signs show up somewhere else entirely, and sign number 3 is the one clinicians say gets missed the most. As we age, our sense of thirst becomes less reliable. This isn't just a general observation, it's been studied directly. A landmark study published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that healthy older men, when deprived of water for 24 hours, felt significantly less thirsty than younger men in the same study, despite similar physiological signs of dehydration. In other words, the body knows it needs water, the brain just doesn't send the signal as clearly. Once you know what to actually look for, catching dehydration early is straightforward. Here are 5 signs to watch for, and what to do about each one. Sign number 1 is the one people almost always blame on something else: fatigue. Even mild dehydration, as little as 1 to 2% of your body's normal fluid level, can affect energy and concentration. This connects to a broader pattern researchers have documented: as we age, our total body water decreases, our thirst response weakens, and our body's ability to regulate fluid and sodium balance also declines. Together, these changes make fatigue one of the earliest and most overlooked signs of low fluid levels. Here's the mistake people make: they reach for coffee or a nap instead of water first. Next time you feel unexpectedly drained in the afternoon, try a glass of water before anything else. That's sign 1. But sign number 2 shows up somewhere you'd never expect: you're thinking. Sign number 2 is the one most people never connect to dehydration at all: difficulty concentrating, sometimes described as brain fog. A study following adults aged 55 to 75 with metabolic syndrome, published as part of the Predimed Plus research project, found that poorer hydration status was associated with greater declines in global cognitive function over a 2-year period. The researchers noted that while more long-term evidence is still needed, the connection between hydration and day-to-day mental clarity is one worth taking seriously, especially for older adults already managing other health conditions. Family members sometimes notice this before the person does: a bit more forgetfulness or a slower response than usual. If this happens more in the afternoon, it's worth checking how much water you've had that day. That's sign 2. But sign 3 is the one clinicians say gets missed more than any other. Sign number 3 is subtle, and it comes and goes throughout the day: a dry or slightly sticky feeling in the mouth. Interestingly, this is also one of the signs research shows becomes less reliable with age. The same New England Journal of Medicine study found that older adults reported less dryness in the mouth than younger adults, even under equivalent dehydration. So while dry mouth is a useful signal, it may appear later, or more faintly, than it would in a younger person, which is exactly why it gets dismissed as ordinary aging or a medication side effect. Here's how to tell the difference: if it improves noticeably within 20 or 30 minutes of drinking water, fluid levels are likely a factor. If water doesn't help at all, that's worth mentioning to your doctor, since it could point to a medication issue instead. That's sign 3. But sign 4 is one your body shows you every single day, if you know where to look. Sign number 4 is one of the simplest, most reliable signs available, and it's one clinicians rely on constantly: urine color. Pale yellow urine generally suggests adequate hydration. Darker yellow, especially later in the day, is one of the more dependable early indicators that fluid intake needs attention, precisely because it doesn't rely on the thirst sensation that becomes less reliable with age. Most people never think to check. But this quick, private check-in takes seconds and tells you more than how thirsty you feel. The 5th and final sign is one many people treat as just an unavoidable part of getting older: nighttime leg cramps. Fluid and electrolyte balance play a documented role in how muscles contract and relax. Researchers studying aging and fluid regulation point out that as kidney function shifts with age, the body's ability to conserve water and balance sodium and potassium also declines, which can contribute to cramping, particularly in the evening after a day of insufficient fluid intake. A simple habit some people find helpful is having a full glass of water in the early evening, well before bed, rather than only when thirsty. A few important clinical notes. These signs can also stem from other health conditions or medications, so if they persist, it's worth discussing with your doctor rather than assuming dehydration is the only explanation. And if you're managing heart failure, kidney disease, or taking diuretics, your fluid needs may differ significantly from general recommendations. Always follow your physician's specific guidance rather than a one-size-fits-all rule. 5 signs. Fatigue, difficulty concentrating, dry mouth, dark urine, and muscle cramps are often the body's earliest way of signaling a need for more fluids, well before thirst itself kicks in. Start today with one simple habit: keep a glass of water within reach and sip through the day, rather than waiting until you feel thirsty. If you found this helpful, subscribe for more simple, evidence-informed tips to help you stay healthy, active, and independent for years to come. Which of these signs surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. I read every one. Growing older is inevitable. But how you age is influenced by the choices you make every day. Here's to living healthier, stronger, and longer.